Hello, I'm Josh and I'm a first time drone owner, and this is the Mavic Pro. I've unboxed it and I've put on the propellers, and I'm going to show you the setup process that I followed to get it going. So I'm using an iPad mini and I've got my controller, and just using the iPad mini just because it's easier to see on the screen. I've got it connected here with a lightning cable which connects to the controller, and I've removed the gimbal shield which protects the camera. You need to do that because otherwise, as you can see, you get a lot of lens flare and it will just ruin your photos. So you need to remove that small dome, and you also need to remove a gimbal clamp. So after you've unfolded the wings and put on the propellers, take off the little gimbal clamp there and the dome, and then launch the app. So I've connected the controller to the iPad, and we won't see anything at the minute until you turn on your devices. So all you have to do, I found it a bit fiddly at first, but you just do a quick press and then a long press, and the controller will start up and it will say connecting on there, and it won't connect until we then do the same on the drone. So there you go, it says connecting, but it can't find the Mavic until you turn it on. So as you can see on the iPad it says connecting, trying to find the version. We can't see the aircraft because I haven't turned it on. But we can get into the app but nothing happens. So again, short press, long press, the Mavic starts up and it does a quick gimbal calibration, everything twitches, and then we begin the setup process. So here we go, it says activate Mavic Pro, and basically as soon as you turn it on, you basically bind the Mavic to your DJI Pro account. It says Opti mode at the minute on the controller because it cannot find the GPS, but that's not to worry. So let's just continue the setup process. Loads of terms and conditions there, so you can sign away, firstborn children, all of that sort of thing, but you probably just want to get flying. There's a privacy policy there as well. Do give it a read, but then once you do, agree and continue. Otherwise, I guess send it back. There you go. Then you can choose the aircraft name. I don't think it really matters what you call it. It's like when you name an iPhone, it ends up being called Josh's iPhone or Emma's iPhone or whatever. You just have to name it. I'm just going to put Mavic Pro just because it's easy. And continue. The next bit you get is the control mode, and there are two types of control mode. There's basically mode 2, which is the default, and it basically almost basically swaps around the controller, whether you want the left stick to be altitude or the right stick to be altitude. You can read that on the screen, or you can read up on it later. I suggest just leave it as the default, and you can then also customize the buttons on the back of the controller. So on the back there are two small buttons there, C1 and C2, and you can map them to a function. So you could have it as autofocus for one of them, or I mean there's tons there. So there you can see center autofocus I've got for one, which sounds quite good, and number 2 there's playback, navigation, lock the focus and things, toggle the map, battery info, playback. I'll just leave it on navigation for now, but you can change these later in the settings. There is also what it gives you is basically a rundown of what you can see on the controller screen. So it tells you, if you haven't read the instructions, what is on the screen. That's kind of useful, and it's good to have a quick glance over. I'm just going to quickly take a screenshot of that just so I can remember it for later, but you can bring these up in the instructions later. There you go, I'll just take a screenshot of that. Yeah, so he set basically your measurements and things, so you can set it to kilometers per hour, metric basically, or imperial, and I'm choosing PAL video because I'm in the UK. You can also then toggle beginner mode, so that gives you the option to, if you are a true beginner, to limit its functions. Basically it limits its speed, it doesn't go very fast, and it gives you basically a 30-meter high and a 30-meter wide radius bubble where you can't leave that zone. So I'll leave it on beginner mode because I'm a beginner. If you've never flown before, leave it on that and then change it later. And then the next step after that is to sign into the DJI account. So sign in with your email address or create an account if you don't have one. If you bought the drone through DJI, you would have created an account already probably. So sign in, and what this does, this binds the drone to your account and basically starts the warranty from day one. So as soon as you sign in, it binds it. There we go. You confirm your email, activates the warranty, and then you're ready to go. Okay, and then the final step you will probably get is a firmware upgrade. In a minute I'm going to show you how to upgrade the firmware because you'll probably need to do it. So there we go, we'll press update firmware and it will download the firmware to the iPad and send it to the drone. Okay, how strange. Firmware update. It got stuck on 35%. Downloaded and went to update. I mean, I've closed the app, reopened it again. I'm fully closed it because it says not to do that. But it got stuck. But I think it has actually sent it to the aircraft. I've waited about 10-15 minutes now, and there's now a green light flashing on the aircraft. The controller reads ready to go. So despite it being stuck, I believe that it has completed. So I'll quit the app for real and reopen it, and hopefully we'll see if it's updated. Okay, I can see the screen, I can see the camera and the live feed. So we're in the app, it looks to be working at the minute. And that is the fixed wing fly mode pop-up, which came in the latest firmware version. So if you can see that, that means the firmware has updated and you are up to date despite it being stuck. So what happened was it downloaded the firmware to the iPad, and then it went to send it to the drone, and it got to 35% and didn't move any further. I waited about 10-15 minutes and lights kept flashing. They changed colour on the drone, went red, orange, green, and it got stuck. So we'll check now the version info. So if you go to the menu and go to the about screen, as you can see there, that is the latest firmware version at the time I'm making this video. That's the latest version, so it has worked. So even though it got stuck, and if yours gets stuck about 35% or something like that, don't panic. Just let it do its thing. Wait maybe 10-15 minutes. The lights will cycle, they'll go red, orange, green, different colours. Your controller will vibrate at random times, but there, as you can see, it says well, Opti mode, but it says ready to go on the controller, and I can see through the viewfinder it looks like we are set. So don't worry too much. I don't know why it does that. It's obviously a bug, but it looks like it's nothing to worry about. So I'm going to go fly. Thank you very much.